We love it. So, and I also want to invite everybody at the end of the show to interact with our web out there. We have our wonderful artist, Beth Benson, who is going to create a play out of the words that are your impressions from your visit here. And so there's a table at the back and some pens, and you can tape things to the web, and it's going to become a new piece of artwork by a woman. So welcome back, Marjorie Kreitman, Lezwrites.
Here we go. We're going to do the second act now. Woo! Okay. So, we're going to start, unfortunately Lisa Godoldig isn't here. Is that right?
Oh. Yeah, Lisa's not feeling well tonight.
Yeah, sorry.
So send her some healing energy.
Okay, well then we're going to start off with Jay Althea, who is going to do Wheel Watcher for us. And please welcome her.
I have a dirty little secret, and I just got to get it off of my chest. And I thought this would be a really good place to do it, and I hope I can trust you. I'm addicted to and amused by Wheel of Fortune.
Well, Vanna.
Well, I don't watch it for Vanna, nor certainly for Pat, although each of them, they're really both quite inoffensive. But I watch Wheel because it's fun to be really good at it. Yeah, I'm really, really good at it. I think my junior high school spelling bee win at the county level, San Mateo, 1957. I think that win prepared me for the wheel. This is how it all began. I was visiting my parents, they retired. I discovered Wheel with them. It was a brand new game show then, and all the retirees were watching it. I was fascinated, and my parents were stunned, and their friends, as I solved puzzle after puzzle before the contestants did. When I flew back home, I signed up for cable. Well, Wheel is currently in its 32nd season, and I'm still there with them. I've tried to get on the show several times, haven't made it yet. I did see someone on there who was in line behind me at one of the auditions. Well, you get to know your line mates because it's long, and we all save each other's places in line, whether for bathroom breaks and to get some snacks, and the smokers go outside and smoke. Well, I don't get to see Wheel as regularly as I'd like to. I do try to keep up because when I finally get the call, I've got to be on right away, at a moment's notice. These skills must be kept home at all times. Now, at this point, perhaps some of you are wondering, why is Wheel of Fortune a lesbian topic? Good question. Well, I can assure you it is. Now, who knew? About 25 years worth, the demographic of the contestants, it didn't change much. No billionaires, no homeless. Mostly white, with an occasional person of color. Majority of contestants over 50, whatever. But never, ever, not once, a queer. Not even one that represented in demeanor or attire. So when Pat Sajak would do the BioAsk segment, no man had ever said, "Oh, my handsome husband," in the audience. And no woman had ever uttered, "My lovely fiancée, Susan." But now things have begun to change. Well, there's always a person of color. Sometimes 2 out of the 3 contestants. There's younger people as well. And almost once a week, well, twice a month, we get a queer of some sort. The first time I saw that was about 5 or 6 years ago. Called my oldest child and said, "There's a cute little baby butch lesbian on wheel." Well, she turned it on right away and we watched together over the phone. And the sweet, adorable, bow-tied with a vest little dykelet was spinning and grinning and solving. But no reveal in the bio chat. Now the trend has continued and has improved. Sometime after California Prop 8 was struck down by the Supreme Court, we, the audience, started hearing about the partners in the bio chats. And then Pat would segue smoothly from that knowledge dispensed into what their jobs or hobbies were, as if they're merely talking about the weather. But here's the real kicker. Just a couple of weeks ago, while chopping romaine, I heard Pat actually tell his lesbian contestant of the evening when she won the trip to Bermuda, "This'll be great for your honeymoon, won't it?" I almost cut off my thumb. Wow. So this is an unforeseen positive result from these Supreme Court decisions that have been coming down in the last couple of years. Did you ever think Pat Sajak and Vanna White would become gay rights ambassadors on national TV? It is therefore my civic duty as a card-carrying lesbian to get onto the wheel so I can proudly proclaim my hobbies are doing jigsaw puzzles and shopping at thrift stores. Oh, and also, I'm searching for my lesbian soulmate.
Okay. Well, we are up to Judy Nodden, who is here to do her piece called Don't Box Me In, or SWSF, Looking for Love. Please give a warm welcome to Judy Nodden.
Hi everyone, as Marjorie said, my name is Judy, and I am a straight lesbian. Right, you heard me right, a straight lesbian. I like men, and I like lesbians. I don't like straight women. I mean, I like straight women. I mean, I'm a straight woman, hopefully I like myself. I just don't like straight women or women who can pass for straight. I mean, I'm just not attracted to them. I like butch lesbians. The butcher, the better. I don't see a lot of butches around anymore. I mean, you see butch women, yes, but you don't see butch women. Take my last partner, for example. She couldn't try on clothes in a fitting room without at least 2 women calling security on her. Now, she was butch. She was hot. I never even knew I was attracted to women until I was in my mid-20s. In high school, 2 of my closest friends came out as lesbian, while I was happily obsessing about boys with my best friend Lisa. Lisa was a gorgeous girl. Her father was African American and her mother was from India. I spent a lot of nights at Lisa's house. We slept in the same bed, sometimes massaging each other's feet after a long, hard night of roller disco. How many of you remember roller disco? Freaking awesome roller disco was? I mean, and for those of you who, weren't born yet, roller disco was an actual real thing we did in the 80s. Anyway, Lisa and I were inseparable. We did each other's hair and makeup. We helped each other pick out clothes. We served as each other's #1 fan and admirer. I loved her. I adored her. But I never thought about having sex with her. She wasn't butch. The first time I even thought about the possibility of a woman as a lover, I was dating a man. We'll call him Mistra. Mistra often got catcalls from construction workers and other men who would see Mistra from behind, striding down the street with his long, lean, tanned legs and his flowing blonde curls. Boy, those men got a surprise when Mistra turned around, and instead of Madonna, they got Jesus, beard and all. One day I showed my lesbian friend Hazel a picture of Mistra in his Halloween costume. He was wearing a beautiful teal fairy dress with a tulle tutu, fairy wings, and a sparkling tiara. Hazel took one look at the picture and said, "Girl, you date a man who wears a dress? Why don't you just date a woman?" I didn't exactly follow her logic, but the seed was planted. My first female crush was an adorable boy, B-O-I. She had short, dark, spiky hair combed into a faux hawk, of course, right? Large, brown, dreamy eyes, a pierced tongue, and a tattoo on the inside of her right forearm of Chinese characters spelling out the word trouble. That was actually her name, Trouble. It wasn't her given name or her middle name, but her acquired name. And she lived up to it. Of course I was hot for Trouble. But she wasn't really into me. She liked petite, prepubescent-looking, androgynous women who looked like her. I always had the sense that my boobs were just too much for her. Anyway, the first woman I actually dated and didn't just awkwardly admire turned out not to be a woman, but intersex. What they called back in the day a hermaphrodite. But true hermaphrodites don't actually exist. This woman, let's call her Tempest, wasn't a man and a woman. She was neither a man nor a woman. She had been born with what was at the time called ambiguous genitals and a complex combination of X and Y chromosomes. Did you know that our chromosomes can actually spell out a multiplicity of genders, not just two? Well, when Tempest was still a small child, her doctors and parents arbitrarily assigned her gender as female through surgery, hormones, and socialization. When Tempest got older, no one bothered telling her she'd been born with a small penis or perhaps an enlarged clitoris. When she began to speak up about feeling like she wasn't a girl, and in fact that she was actually missing a part of her body, her parents and doctors denied the truth of her birth, insisting she had been born female, and that was that. Tempest had her first psychotic break in her early teens. The psyche tends to split when those closest to us, those we trust more than anyone in the world, tell us that what we know to be true about ourselves, about our own body, is not true. Years later, she got a hold of her hospital records, and since she found out the truth, she had no more psychotic episodes. So, here was this person, Tempest, my first female lover, with a profound experience of being invisible, of not being allowed to be who she was as she had been born. She used the female pronoun to refer to herself, though she didn't identify as a woman. She had no word for her gender and railed against people's need to assign or declare a gender, since the only two acknowledged genders were male or female, and she didn't identify as either. And here I was, a person who had always identified as a heterosexual woman, having feelings of love and sexual experiences with this person who looked like a woman, talked like a woman, had breasts like a woman. She didn't let me see what was going on down there, which was really difficult and sad for me, and I'm sure for her too. But being with Tempest, who I experienced as a woman, was big for me. It shook up my idea of who I was, of my identity in the world. I wanted to be acknowledged for what a new, strange, and wonderful experience this was for me. But she just kept saying, "But I'm not a woman. What difference does it make what gender I am? What's the big deal? I'm just human." That's when I realized that it's not our genitals or even our secondary sex characteristics that decide our gender, but our minds and our hearts and perhaps our souls. When I finally dated my first butch lesbian, a person who identified as female and butch and lesbian, I came out to my mother, not as lesbian, but as being in love with a woman. When my mom freaked out about my lover's gender, I told her that I didn't fall in love with my partner's private parts, but with her heart. It took my mom a while, but I think she finally got it. So I guess I don't really know how to identify my sexual orientation, or at least I don't like to place myself in a fixed box just for the convenience and comfort of other people. I'm not heterosexual, though. I'm attracted to men, sometimes men that are very feminine. I'm not lesbian, though I'm attracted to lesbians, mostly lesbians who are very masculine. I'm not even bisexual because I was attracted to and had loving feelings for someone who identified neither as male nor female. Perhaps I'm trisexual, as in willing to try anything. I don't know, I don't really like that either. It makes me sound promiscuous, and I'm really not. I'm very much a monogamous soul, loyal to whoever has my heart and can turn me on. I'm definitely not asexual. There needs to be love and sex for me to feel complete in an intimate relationship. That's it. That's what I am. I'm sexual. So maybe this will be my next profile on OkCupid. SWSF. Single white sexual female looking for love. I don't know. It sounds like I'm inviting trouble. Trouble? I wonder what she's up to.
Another scene. This is called Ella by Nicole Kearney, who actually lives in Indiana. So she's not here tonight, but her scene is, and so are her two actresses, Angela Chandra and Nima Sloan, doing Ella. Please welcome them.
You would be one for online dating.
I know. I started chatting online and I met someone and I really feel like we have a connection. It's taken me a while, but I'm finally ready to meet, so thank you so much for coming.
Oh, no problem. I told you I had some business here anyway, so tell me more about this mystery date.
Oh, well, I'm not sure how to. I really wasn't looking for a difference, but with the anonymity, I figured I'd broaden my horizons.
Oh, I get it. You were looking to expand. So, what flavor of the rainbow did you decide to go with?
Well, it's ironic you'd say rainbow. Are you expecting a call?
Oh, no, I'm just waiting for information on my meeting. Yeah. But, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I'm here to meet a woman.
A woman?
Her name is Ella.
Ella?
Before you say anything, she is intelligent and exciting, and we have so much in common. I mean, meeting her was like meeting a long-lost friend. Everything just seems so... Everything just seems so right. Yeah.
So, since this is your first time meeting, how will you know she's here? Do you know what she looks like?
I'm supposed to call her. I wasn't sure I would go through with it. I should have told you, but I didn't know how you'd react. But you helped me see it's okay. Thank you. Okay, yeah.
Hi, this is Ella.
She was Ella. I know you got it. Okay, we got a treat for you. Mickey Eliason is here. Mickey's in the house doing, she's our resident Dykologist. And she'll be doing a case study, how many dykes does it take to pay the check? So please welcome Miki Elias.
So how many of you have been to a lesbian brunch?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. As a dykologist, I go to lesbian events in a professional capacity to study lesbian psychology. So I want to share this case study with you. One foggy August day in San Francisco, 12 mature urban lesbians gathered at a popular queer-owned restaurant for a 50s-plus singles brunch. Among the group were 3 lawyers, 2 teachers, a corporate executive, 2 therapists, 2 dog walkers, and a pagan high priestess. One of the lawyers had brought her companion dog, which meant they had to be seated on rickety chairs in the chilly outdoor patio instead of the more comfortable indoor seating. Some began to complain at that point. The brunch began with stressful decisions about placement and food. So each woman had to ask herself questions such as, where should I sit? Should I try to get next to that outgoing dyke with the Wonder Woman tattoo? Should I try to sit near the end so I can make a fast getaway? Who do I want to avoid? Who had traits that she might find annoying or gave visual or olfactory signals that were off-putting? Was that vaguely familiar woman a friend of her ex's? The one woman with cat allergies furtively surveyed the other women's clothing for telltale signs of cat. She quickly downed an antihistamine before sitting down. One dander-free dyke in the group. So once everyone decided who they wanted to sit next to, they had to physically jockey for position and settle into a seat, hoping to make the best decision. 4 women competed to sit near a woman who exuded this sexy, flirtatious confidence. The one with bad knees had no chance. Another got a frigid look from her desired brunch companion, so she gave up and dropped out of the competition. The final 2 tried to sit on the same chair. The sportier dyke of the duo won. So some women looked deflated already because of their inferior position at the table, and they started brunch at a disadvantage. Now each woman had to consider the menu. Was this a beer or mimosa crowd or a recovery crowd? Would she immediately be dismissed as a possible date if she ordered a drink? Should she order the hamburger she really wanted, or try to impress the vegetarian across the table? Should she even consider the garlic fries? The special of the day was bean soup. Could it be risked? Would the intestinal effects begin to percolate before brunch was over? So now the waiter was bombarded with questions about the menu. Was the tomato soup vegan? Did they have gluten-free bread? Was the chicken free range? Was there corn sweetener in the lemonade? So once all the questions had been answered, the orders were placed.
It's 5 o'clock.
Please, this is serious. We have to understand why these things happen to prevent them. So now, 10 of the dozen women gave a modified order. Dressing on the side, cottage cheese instead of fries, poached eggs instead of scrambled, and a flask of hot water so that the one dyke could steep her own herbal concoction in the cold water. So now that the agonizing food and drink decisions were made and the orders were taken care of, the brunch proceeded with awkward silences, stilted conversations, strained laughter, and occasional disapproving looks. Some women actually seemed to connect and have pleasurable conversations. Other more introverted dykes waited quietly for someone to talk to them. One woman reacted badly to a joke that she thought was offensive to animals, and she sat with her arms crossed and her lips pursed for the remainder of the brunch. So
So after about 45 minutes, the food had been consumed. The waitstaff removed the dishes and brought the check. Now, mind you, the meetup notice advertising this brunch had clearly warned that the restaurant refuses to separate the checks, so one bill would be rendered. In fact, the message read in all caps, bold and underlined, "Bring cash." So, how did this group of highly educated, professional women figure out who paid what? Here's what ensued for the next 45 minutes. One woman left early, leaving only enough money to pay for her omelet, but did not leave money for tax or gratuity, minus $3.45. Another, the offended animal lover, slipped out the back door without leaving any money to pay for her meal, minus $14.95. Two dykes began a loud discussion about the audacity of restaurants that refuse to issue separate checks, embarrassing the remaining women at the table. Another launched into a lecture about class privilege and money issues in dyke. She railed against the convention of splitting the check equally because it unfairly advantages the woman who ordered 2 appetizers with her meal and cheats the poor dyke who only ordered a bowl of soup. The risk taker who ordered the bean soup was then embarrassed by being made the example. She nervously awaited resolution of the check so she could escape the restaurant before the beans escaped her. One complained that the bill included gratuity, and she whined that the service was so poor she did not want to leave the waitstaff 15%. She left a 10% tip on principal, minus $1. Predictably, she was the one who asked for the most substitutions, the one who brought her own tea concoction, and had the most complicated order, which the staff accommodated with only slight eye rolling. 3 of them had no money. The restaurant would only accept 2 credit cards on any check, so the 3 of them had to negotiate who was going to get to use their credit card and who had to borrow money from a complete stranger. Luckily, the one who ended up borrowing money was the sexy, confident dyke who had sparked the seating frenzy at the beginning. 3 women quickly volunteered to loan her money so they could get her phone number. Now, during the course of the brunch, the companion dog had eaten one of the therapist's fries when she wasn't looking. So a discussion ensued about who should pay for those fries. The dog dyke declared it was not her problem because she was only guardian, not the owner of the dog. Unfortunately, the dog was not in the habit of carrying cash. Finally, one woman got fed up with the process and all the drama. She gathered together the cash on the table, counted it out, divided the cash between the 2 women who were supplying their credit cards, and handed that check and credit cards to the waitress. She was the alpha dyke of the group. She wisely passed on the missing money to the 2 women who didn't read the email, or worse, did read the email, and decided to flagrantly disregard the instructions to bring cash. So by this time, the process of paying the check had taken twice as long as ordering and eating the meal. Exhausted by the mental and emotional labor required to complete this task, the 12 lesbians went their separate ways to nap, drink off the experience, or to call an ex-lover to process the drama. The stress of paying the check had wiped out all thoughts of dating, and the 12 lesbians left the brunch still single. Thank you.
Okay, I've never been to a brunch like that. It's really strange. Okay, I'd like to bring back Molly Kelly, and I'm sure you're going to be happy about that. And she's going to do a piece that she's done for us before, but she's modified it a little bit for the times. So once again, do ask, don't tell, Molly Kelly.
Lucky enough not to have had a first date since before the Y2K scare, 1999, when I met my wife, Marissa. And that's right, I said wife, and it came out pretty comfortable too. But remember, there was a time not so long ago where I wasn't comfortable saying that, and even saying partner felt kind of radical. Well, 11 years ago, we were dating, and we decided to take that big plunge and get married. And we planned a full-on wedding ceremony, you know, with gowns and a DJ and cousins and a Madonna impersonator. All those things that make a real wedding, except for that one legal entity to actually call us married. But this was 2004, and legal marriage wasn't even a thought in our minds. So what we did was kind of out there, you know, kind of bold and brave. I mean, we promised it all right there in front of her grandmother and our parents, and that was about as real as you could get. About a year later, same-sex marriage started to pass in some states, and suddenly our wedding didn't seem quite as valid anymore. Because people would ask us, they'd say, you know, are you married? Yeah. Are you legally married? Like some shotgun wedding in Massachusetts was worth more than my ceremony, even though mine cost me a whole lot more. So when marriage became legal in DC, where we were living, we decided to do it again. And we planned a little ceremony in a park to do the paperwork. And that's how I felt about it too. Like we were just doing the paperwork. It wasn't going to change anything because our wedding was already real. When I heard those words, I solemnized this marriage according to the laws of the District of Columbia, it hit me that things were going to change because I felt differently. Being legally married made me feel, it emboldened me. It made me feel a pride, or rather maybe it made me realize that I didn't feel equal before. Like, okay, you know that scene in a movie when our hero is standing up in a room to stand up for something they believe in, and it's silent? And then you hear that one. And then pretty soon, there's a bunch of people standing, and they're clapping. Well, that's what it felt like. Even though it was just behind me, it was like a few scragglers from Massachusetts and maybe like the mayor of DC, it still felt pretty good. Well, I was all full of this new gay wedding pride the very next week when I had to travel to Little Rock, Arkansas for a business meeting with my family, my client, Family Life. Now, Family Life runs marriage counseling weekends for Christian couples to help them stay together. And I'm all about staying together, and I love marriage, so I was okay working for them. But clearly, I didn't think this business trip through. I mean, I thought we were just gonna go there and a little small talk, and then get right down to business. Oh, no. I wasn't in the Family Life compound more than 3 minutes when the first question hit me. I'm standing there in the main hallway surrounded by 15 volunteer missionaries. What does your husband do? Now, it's amazing the speed in which the human body reacts because my socks filled up with sweat in a nanosecond as all that big gay pride and courage drained from my body and filled in my shoes. And I said the first thing that came to me. The truth, except for one thing. He's a lobbyist. I felt sick. Not because she's a lobbyist, okay? No. I felt sick. I could not believe that I said it. I said it. And then I was filled with a panic because I knew I was probably going to have to say it again. As the day went on, my paranoia grew. I felt like a Dodgers fan at a Giants game. Like they could pick me out. Do Christians have gaydar? Because I felt like they were all looking at me. Especially this one guy. He set off my ex-gay gaydar big time, and as you know, I have that. Well, after a pronoun-avoiding lunch, we went into the conference room, and they dimmed the lights, and they were going to play a film about their work. And as the lights came down, I suddenly felt safe, and I kind of lost myself and forgot where I was, the way you do when you go to the movies in the afternoon. And I started to find their message compelling. They were talking about being faithful and loving. But then they started to talk about women's role in marriage. And then they started to talk about all the evil forces out there trying to tear down traditional marriage. And they put up a slide of a Ben & Jerry's Chubby Hubby ice cream container. Subtle, but I got the point. And as the lights came up, I woke up. And I remembered where I was. And I pulled my legs together because I realized I was sitting like a dyke. And I remembered that they weren't talking about my marriage. They weren't trying to save my marriage. When I finally got out of there, I got into my rental car and it all hit me fast, the shame and rejection, and I started to cry. And I wasn't just crying, I was bawling harder than I have in a really long time, and I was filled with sadness. And on my way to the airport, I made a promise to myself. I said, I promise that I will never let that happen to me again. I'm not gonna lie to make sure that other people don't feel uncomfortable. But that's a lot easier promise to keep when you live inside of a gay neighborhood in a progressive liberal city, right? It's a lot harder to keep when you put yourself outside of your bubble and into somebody else's. But I refuse to live in a bubble. So that's how the very next month I find myself in the airport in Delhi, India, getting interviewed by this little petite security guard. We were on a layover, and she had Marissa and my passports in her hand, and she was giving us the standard U.S. Customs questionnaire. Are you two related? And before Marissa could say anything, I jumped in right away with the truth. Yeah, we're married. Now, I don't know who was more surprised by me saying that, Marissa or the security guard. But both of their faces turned red, and the security guard looked really confused. Married? Yeah, we're married in the United States. I looked at Marissa for help, but she was not backing me up. You know, well, not in the whole United States. You know, in the state where we don't live in a state, it's the District of Columbia. In the region where we live, we're married. It's legal now in the U.S. just since like last week, but it's legal. We're married. It's legal. She looked down. I have heard of such a thing, but I have never seen it. Who is the man? Oh, well, not quite sure what you mean by that. We both work, if that's what you mean, yeah. It's like that. Who does the cooking and cleaning? Oh, well, you know, we share those things. Finally, Marissa pitches in. Yeah, you know, like, she does this chore, I do that chore, but to, you know, be honest with you, I do most of the work because I live at home, so I'm always doing laundry and dishes. Marissa hits me in the arm. She gets quiet for a moment. What about your parents? Are they okay with it? Oh, well, yeah. I mean, it was hard at first for Marissa's grandmother, but, I mean, she came around. You know, they love us, and they just want us to be happy, and we're happy, so it's all good. She looked at me right in the eyes. Well, if you are happy, and they are happy, then I am happy. And she did that thing that Indian people did to let us know we passed the test. Well, word got out fast, because as we moved through the airport, every ticket taker or security guard had a red face and a big grin. And I was grinning too. I held my head high, and I walked through the airport holding my wife's hand. And I was proud because they knew and accepted that I was married in the United States. Not in the whole country, just in the state, well, region where I live, but I was married. You know, a month ago, we had the big decision. It doesn't matter what state I live in anymore, or if I live in a state at all. And that night felt a lot more like that movie scene that I'm talking about. Except this time we didn't have just a couple scragglers behind us. We had a whole crowd of people behind us standing for the slow clap. Clapping.
so much fun. Really enjoyed you as an audience. I know you've enjoyed our performers, and we hope you come back and see more Lezwrites shows and from Three Girls Theater. And just wanted to take the moment to thank Spirulina Mason for about for you. Which is that I am going to be doing a monologue tomorrow. It's a reading performance of a new work called Kicking Facebook, and it's here, and it's at 1 o'clock, and it's free.
And it's awesome.
And I hope to see you there. Thank you so much.